Part 2, race and ethnicity. All right. These are the ones that some of these we did not get to go over in class. So get your earbuds going. You don't have to watch it, just listen. And let's get this going. Okay. Now, this part, oh, am I here? Okay. The next part on your study guide talks about genocide, population transfer, indirect and direct, internal colonialism, segregation, assimilation, multiculturalism. Now, you could put these on a continuum, okay? As in, genocide is the worst. Genocide is killing a group of people. Wipe them out. Wipe them off the face of the earth. Genocide. All right? And then at the other end of the spectrum is multiculturalism. Okay, so I wanted to talk first, genocide, like I said, it is literally removing the group from the planet by death. The massacre of Native Americans in the 1800s, the extermination of Jews in Nazi Germany, the slaughter of the Tutsis in Rwanda are all examples of genocide. Completely wiping these folks off the face of the planet. Yes, I know that there are still Native Americans available. I mean, out in public. However, they basically were almost wiped completely away. I think they had over 700 natural languages, and they were just ripped by warfare, disease, straight out killing them from the colonists that come over. All right, genocide. All right, population transfer. Let's see, let me scroll this down. Where my little, there it is. Population transfer, indirect and direct population transfer. All right, direct population transfer is when you, let's see, literally you take the group, put them in a cage, and send them to another area forever. Direct population transfer. Gather them up, put them in another area. An example of direct population transfer would be the relocation of Native Americans to reservations and the transfer of Americans of Japanese descent to internment camps during World War II. You know, they literally, in World War II, during World War II, they went around and took people that they thought had Japanese ancestry and put them in a cage in the middle of the United States, an internment camp. This happened. All right, that's a direct population transfer. And like I said, Native Americans, they're doing it. They did it back then. And something going on today that could be direct population transfer. Immigrants. Okay. All right. Now, indirect population transfer. Indirect is basically the dominant group is going to make lives so miserable for the group. They're going to make it just a horrendous life for them that group moves away because they can't take the way the dominant group is treating them. That's indirect population transfer. An example would be under SARS in Russia. Daily living conditions for Jews were made so intolerable that millions choose to leave Russia and migrate to other countries. That is an example of indirect population transfer. All right. Let's see. Internal colonialism. An example of internal colonialism is slavery. Okay. It's when the country's dominant group exploits the minority groups for its economic advantage. Literally forces the group to do labor for no wages in order for the owner to make more money. That is internal colonialism. Okay. Slavery as an example. All right. Next one is segregation. Segregation would be, we're going to make things equal for these groups, but they're still going to be separate. You know, we can have a water fountain. Well, two. One water fountain is for coloreds. One water fountain is for whites. Why we got to have separate water fountains? Why? That's how it was back then. And they thought that was doing better. You know, that it was progress, because at least they had a water fountain, because before then they didn't have one. But they have one now, and it's segregated. It's terrible. Integration is when the groups come together, but segregation is keeping them separate but equal. All right. Next one is assimilation. Now, that is when you get a group to assimilate, or to be like, or to somebody waving. Hey, English. What's up, English? I'm right in the middle of assimilation. Okay. These are the terms that we didn't get to go over in class. Assimilation is basically making the group more like the dominant group through, making them have hairstyles like the dominant group, making them dress like the dominant group, making them speak like the dominant group. Assimilation. And it would be, some people say it's the next step from segregation. No, it's making people be like the dominant group. Strong. Why can't people just be who they are and be who they want to be? They don't have to assimilate to the dominant group. All right. Multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is when all groups are accepted. All groups, we embrace all the groups, and we let people have their different food preferences and their different hairstyles and their different clothing, and they can all be who they want to be, expressing their own group or culture, and we all get along. We embrace diversity. That's multiculturalism. I wish and I hope that one day we will see multiculturalism. Today, we do not. 50 years from now, 75 years, I don't know when. All I know is I can't change the world. All right? I can't change every one of my students, perspectives to be multicultural. But I can change my kid. And I can rear her in a way that she is multicultural, that she embraces diversity, that she learns from cultures that are not her own, and that she does not treat people differently or negatively based on, the group that they belong to. Unless they're a group that harms people or animals. Like, I don't know, white supremacists, they try to kill people because of their skin color. No, we don't want to be like them. But we want to accept and embrace diversity, and that's multiculturalism. All right, race and ethnicity of the U.S. population, figure 9.4. I do not have to have that figure out and about, but let's just go with some of these questions. What is the largest minority group in the United States? The largest minority group in the U.S., Latinos. Should be a different word, but that's what's on the test. Latino Americans. The smallest population is going to be people with two or more races, or Native Americans. White ethnics. What are white ethnics? Okay. White ethnics are a lot of times they're based on religion. Okay, let's see. Yeah. It says in American history, who were white ethnics? White ethnics were immigrants from Europe whose language and other customs differed from the original white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. We didn't get to go over WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, in class, but that's what they are, WASP. Well, they were the dominant group way back in the day, WASP. They had nearly committed genocide with Native Americans. Well, now they're getting other immigrants who are white looking, but they got different religion. Maybe they dress different. They got different food preferences. So guess what? The dominant group, the WASP, start treating white ethnics negatively. For example, Irish Americans. They used to have large posters up, that said that white ethnics or Irish Americans were terrible people, and they called them bad words. I'm not going to repeat. They treated Irish Americans terribly. Yes, we had indentured slaves, as in the European Americans would come over, they would work for no money for a period of time, and then they would let go. That's the difference from slavery in the South or all over. Slavery with African American or with people from Africa, those slaves were not let go until law passed. Indentured servants were let go before law passed. So white ethnics were groups that differed from the dominant norm, based on usually religion, and your example would be Irish Americans. Okay, let's see. That's white ethnics. All right, Jim Crow laws. All right, so what we had was the Civil War. Yes, it occurred. Don't act like it didn't. Okay, the Civil War was a huge fiasco that occurred in American history, where one group fought the other group over states' rights. And what were those states' rights? Slavery. The South wanted states' rights, so the states would be able to say, yeah, here, us in Mississippi, we want slaves. Okay, so it was like everybody always says, the Civil War was about states' rights. No, it was about slavery, okay? It was about people that wanted to own other people and treat them horrifically by death, by mutilation, tearing up their families, raping women, making children work. And if you didn't work, you would be, hung to death, or your fingers would be cut off and put in butcher shops. It was horrendous. It was terrible. And the reason why, remember we talked about this in another class period, the reason why the dominant group got away with doing these things was because of ideology. Because they made up in their heads a belief system that everybody that was not like them were inferior. They were less than human. They were animals. Therefore, well, if they're animals, then we can beat them to death. Well, finally, the Civil War ended in 1865. Hallelujah. And then began segregation, where still, laws were passed that you couldn't own another human, but still there were laws that segregated people. You could not marry someone of a different race. You could not go to school with another person with a different race. There was all these rules set up to where they kept groups segregated based on the color of their skin. And the remnants of this segregation and Civil War and slavery and all of this has remnants today in our society, because people pass down ideology from generation to generation to generation, and they teach their kids to see people inferior as other people. And that's why today we still have racism, discrimination, prejudicial thinking. It goes on today. There's research out there that proves it. I don't have it in my back pocket, but racism is alive and well today. Jim Crow laws was the practice during the South that segregated blacks from whites. Okay, Jim Crow laws segregated whites and blacks in the South, as in, hey, let's all go eat. Let's go eat at Western Sizzlin. Wasn't back there, but let's pretend we're gonna go eat at Western Sizzlin. Let's see. I'm white, so I get to go in the front door and sit at the front seat. Had the best service. Well, my friend over here is black. She's got to go around to the back, pay an extra 10 cents, and get the worst service available. That's segregation. Jim Crow laws. And it was in law. It was laws, y'all. It was laws in the government that said you got to treat people differently. Jim Crow laws. All right, now, the rest of these kind of fall into place. 1964 Civil Rights Act, where we supposedly gained equality. The 1850 Foreign Miners Act was with Asians. The 1942 Japanese internment camps was about what I talked about a while ago, where they put people that they thought had Japanese ancestry into a camp during World War II. And then the Trail of Tears is when they forced Native Americans to leave their homeland to reservation camps. So that is the end of the study guide. I hope that y'all have learned some things. Please email me with any questions or any ideas that you may have. Glad English that you're here or were here. And hopefully you can go through your study guide and listen to what I'm saying, and it will help you on the exam. Okay? All right. I'll be back probably today. I might go ahead and do gender as well, because I'm excited about that, because gender is one of my faves. Come on. We all know sociology is my fave. I can't pick a favorite. Gender, sexuality, race. I bet I got a list of 30 topics that I'm doing research on right now. And some of those topics came from you students, and I thank you for that. When you come up with an idea after class, please come tell me. I write it in my notebook, and then I do research on it one day. Okay? All right. Enjoy your day, and I'll see y'all again.